The early morning air was thick with mist, wrapping the sleepy neighborhood in a ghostly veil. A woman in her late 30s, sharply dressed in a navy business suit, stepped outside her apartment complex. Her heels echoed across the empty pavement as she adjusted the strap of her leather handbag. Her short, sleek black hair was pinned back, and a pair of silver-rimmed glasses sat perfectly on her nose. She exuded control and calm, the kind of person who never missed a step. She entered her luxury car parked beneath a flickering street lamp. Unknown to her, a dark silhouette crouched behind the hedge nearby watching. The figure was wiry, with a hood pulled low over their face, blending into the fog. As she drove off, a shadowy motorcycle followed silently, its rider concealed in black leather from head to toe. Hours later, the sun peeked through the haze. A concerned neighbor, a heavy-set man in his 50s, wearing a beige robe and slippers, noticed the woman's apartment door slightly ajar. Suspicion prickled at his gut. He knocked, hauled out, and finally pushed the door open. Inside, the lights were still on. Her phone lay on the kitchen counter, buzzing with missed calls. A half-drunk mug of coffee steamed faintly. Police arrived within the hour. A detective in his 40s, with a trench coat draped over his shoulders, walked through the apartment carefully. He was clean-shaven, with tired eyes and tousled brown hair. His gloved hands picked up the coffee mug, his brows furrowing. No signs of struggle, no signs of forced entry. She had simply vanished between the front door and the rest of the world. Outside, the fog had finally lifted, but something far darker had settled over the neighborhood, an unspoken fear. A vanishing like this didn't just happen. Not here, not to someone like her. The apartment was sealed off, crime scene tape fluttering in the breeze. Forensics moved carefully through the space. The detective returned, holding a small evidence bag. Inside it, a torn sticky note found under the edge of the kitchen table. Barely visible were 3 hastily scribbled words. Don't trust him. The building's CCTV footage showed nothing mysteriously. Disabled between 5:45 and 6:30 a.m. That narrowed the timeline. The detective stood in the hallway, his coat swaying, staring at the disabled camera above. A janitor passed by, pausing uneasily, then muttered something. That's not the first time they've been out. Later, inside a dimly lit cafe. Downtown, the detective met a younger woman with long curly auburn hair, wearing a forest green jacket and faded jeans. She was the missing woman's coworker. She looked nervous, clutching a folder tight to her chest. Whispering, she slid it. Across the table, she said someone was watching her. Weeks before this. Inside the folder were photocopies, emails, bank withdrawals, surveillance photos of the woman herself. They weren't police files. These were private dot. As the detective read through them, his eyes darkened. Someone had been tracking her every move. A breakthrough came late at night. The phone records showed repeated calls to a private number registered under a false identity. A digital forensics expert young man with a tight bun, glasses, and hoodie pulled up metadata and tracked the phone's last location to an abandoned parking garage on the city's outskirts. The detective drove alone, headlights cutting through the night. The garage loomed cold concrete, graffiti-smeared walls, and the buzz of a flickering overhead light. The scent of oil and rust filled the air. Inside, behind a stack of old crates, was the missing woman's handbag intact. Her ID, keys, and wallet were inside. It was left deliberately, a message. But from who? Suddenly, a soft scuffle echoed. The detective spun around, gun raised. A figure dashed out from the shadows, vanishing into the stairwell. The chase was fast up rusted stairs, down narrow corridors, through a door leading out to a bridge over. A canal docked. The figure dropped something of foam. The detective picked it up. It was unlocked. Only one photo in the gallery. The missing woman tied to a chair, eyes wide in fear, inside a warehouse-like room. The clock was ticking now. The address in the photo's metadata led to a derelict factory near the harbor-boarded windows, rust-stained pipes, and cold wind whipping off the sea. The detective, now joined by two plainclothes officers, crept inside through a side door. Weapons drawn dot inside, silence reigned. The main chamber stretched into darkness, scattered with machinery and metal drums. Footsteps echoed as they searched. At the far end, a makeshift room had been constructed with hanging sheets and plywood. Behind the sheets, she was there alive but barely. Her wrists were bound, and bruises marred her face. She flinched at first, but recognized the detective, breaking into sobs. One officer untied her quickly while the detective scanned the area. A trapdoor creaked behind them. Too late. A masked figure emerged from the shadows above and fired. One officer fell, hit in the leg. The detective returned fire, bullets tearing. Through the rusted beams, the masked attacker escaped through a broken window, disappearing into the night. The woman was safe for now, but the message was clear. This wasn't over. She lay in a hospital bed, pale but conscious. The detective stood beside her, notebook in hand. Her voice trembled as she revealed the truth. She had uncovered illegal financial activity tied to a powerful executive at her firm. She confronted him. He warned her to drop it. When she refused, he hired an ex-military enforcer with no digital footprint to silence her. The masked figure. The detective shared her statement with the task force. Warrants were filed, offices raided, accounts frozen. Within days, the executive, gray-haired, sharp-suited, always flanked by bodyguards, was arrested during a press conference. The footage went viral, but the masked man was still out there. The detective stood one evening on the same bridge, where the phone had been found, staring into the water from a nearby rooftop. A figure watched hood up, motionless. The final move hadn't yet been played.